Welcome everyone to the Great Gundam Project, episode 47. I am Jackson, I'm joined by M, as usual. Hello.
Hello, Gundam time.
And this is a free episode, so if you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the Great Gundam Project. It is where me and M, who are hosts on a podcast, network called Abnormal Mapping, go through the entirety of Mobile Suit Gundam for years. It's every week we do 2 episodes. Welcome to this free sample.
Where we do 3 episodes.
Shit. Look, some of these shows have odd numbers.
Yep, no, it's true.
And one of them's a clip show.
This is the most helpful odd-numbered episode of Gundam we'll probably ever watch.
Yes. I mean, no, we're gonna get ones. We're gonna get even-numbered shows with 2 clip shows. That's when it's gonna be.
Oh no.
But yes, that's why we're here. Every time we start a new series, we make the first episode public. So this is our first episode covering Double Zeta. We have watched Mobile Suit Gundam, we have watched Zeta Gundam, and now we're watching Double Zeta.
You can find the pilots of both those shows on YouTube
Yes,
or
you can.
at patreon.com/abnormalmapping, where you can get this show every week for the low cost of $1 a month.
$1 a month. It is on the Patreon. It goes up every Wednesday. It's a good time.
Yeah. Jackson,
Yes.
have you watched any anime?
In the last week, I have not.
Okay.
That is a recurring segment. We'll do our anime check-ins, but I haven't really watched that much this week. Been getting on with finishing stuff for the podcasts.
Yep. I watched the second arc of Dragon Ball Super, which is the resurrection of F, where the F stands for Frieza.
Dragon Ball, where the F stands for Frieza.
Yeah. Which is a weird. So the first 2 arcs basically recreate the last 2 Dragon Ball Z movies that came out, a couple years back. And to put them in show form, they are worse animated, but have a lot more nothing going on, which is what I care about when it comes to Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Super, which is a great show about nothing happening until fights happen, which are fine, but not particularly interesting. The problem with this, of course, is that there was 4 episodes of, like, my favorite Dragon Ball thing that's ever existed, which is just, like, Vegeta trying to make omelets and crushing eggs in his hands because he's too strong to impress Bulma's friend. And then Frieza shows up, and Frieza's boring and sucks, and has continued to be boring and sucks for 20 years at this point. I just don't think Frieza's very interesting. I know at some point Frieza, like, kind of becomes a good guy in Super, which is fine, because Frieza's a bad guy is the most... I don't like when the Dragon Ball villains are just evil. It's not interesting. They need to be silly, and Frieza's not particularly silly. Mm-hmm. But that's it. I'm watching it dubbed, so I have to... The dub is only so far in, so I have to kind of meter this out, so I'm not waiting a year to watch more Dragon Ball Super, because I watch it an arc at a time. So I'll be back to Dragon Ball Super probably, I would guess, around like Christmas time. We'll see.
That sounds about right. Like 4 or 5 arcs overall in Super?
Yeah. One of them's really short. It's like 5 or 6 episodes.
Oh, then maybe there's more. I just know the last one's really long.
Yeah, like all Dragon Ball things, the last one is like as long as everything else.
Of course it is.
That's what I've been doing. That's anime. I have more anime next week, but, one at a time. I've been watching a lot of anime. We can talk about Assassination Classroom Season 1 next week.
Oh, can we?
Yeah. Where I ask you why you subjected me to fucking terrible anime.
Oh, fuck you. It's fine.
It's really not. It's really not. But it's outside the scope of this podcast.
Oh. Well, this podcast isn't an anime podcast.
That's true. We'll see. So we should probably talk about ZZ Gundam, like, production-wise before we get into it. Double Zeta. Sorry, I need to correct myself, because I've been saying ZZ forever, and I feel like I found out 2 weeks ago that it's actually called Double Zeta. It's going to take some time. I'm going to do my best. I swear. This isn't like Paptimus Sirocco, where I refuse to say his name right. I'm going to try to fix this.
Respect Mr. Paptimus, please.
No, fuck off. Anyway, this show was directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino. It aired March 1st, 1986 to January 31st, 1987. It is 47 episodes long. It started airing the week after Zeta Gundam, which is baffling to me in ways we will get into.
Yes.
I can't imagine like needing to know what happens with all of your friends on the Argama and then getting Prelude to Double Zeta.
What a wild thing. What a wild thing.
Yeah. Holy shit. So we're very excited to be watching this. We might as well get into this episodes.
Yes, we will. So I guess let's do it. Let's talk about Double Zeta. Episode 1 of Double Zeta is called Prelude Double Zeta. Do we have a summary for this episode? Usually that is...
Kind of?
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. Usually we summarize these episodes, but this is a weird one.
I try to write out summaries for all these episodes if you have not been keeping on with the show. This one is difficult because this opens with like a documentary about the nature of the Gundam universe, basically.
Yes.
It's just a history of the Universal Century. So I'm just going to write down what I have down here and you can feel free to fill stuff in as we go.
Okay.
So the Earth was overpopulated, so they created the first colony, and when 40 million people filled that colony, they officially designated this the start of the Universal Century.
That is a good thing to know. I didn't know, like, because before we've always had, like, the line's been, like, when humanity moved its burgeoning population into space, began the Universal Century, or whatever.
Yes.
But, like, knowing, like, okay, no, so 40 million in space, that's it. Here we go. It's been that for 79 years, and then it all kicked off.
Yes. Because people were in space and building giant colonies, they used power space suits, which became worker mobile suits, which then were retrofitted to be the suits of war as war began.
Yep.
They talk about Minovsky particles. We've been through Gundam. We know Minovsky particles.
Mm-hmm.
Follow Minovsky particle on Twitter.
Yeah. Also trying not to,
I write down here a live action shot of a Gundam drawing because there's absolutely a live action shot of a drawing of a Gundam. It's very jarring in the middle of this animation.
What if I were to tell you that this is all live action shots of Gundam drawings?
You know what I mean, though. Like someone with a film camera just panned over a drawing of a Gundam and put it in normal film frames per second. It looks very weird in an episode that's already full of weird wipes and dissolves and rudimentary 80s CG effects.
And running on a VHS transfer. Like, this is not the nice master that all the other episodes get.
Yep. The Zaku is the first mass-produced unit created. They talk about the colony drop, killed tens of millions instantly. They describe Amuro Ray as the invincible warrior, which made me laugh really hard. They run through all of Gundam and then talk about Amuro Ray was a new type, the invincible warrior. He realized the power of the new type, and then it goes 7 years passed, but the reformation of man never came. Which
true, very true.
And then what do I got here? We get some actual content for what's going on in our universe. The Argama is headed for Side 1, which describes the colony they're heading toward, describes itself as Shangri-La. Then we get Captain Bright going ship's log 0301 because this has suddenly become Star Trek, and I could not have been more excited.
I know, it's great.
He's like, Pilot Char Aznabel has not returned to our ship. Camille is damaged mentally and physically. We need we need repairs, and Camille needs immediate attention.
But because this is a clip show, he's not saying that. He's saying that as PowerPoint slides of Char and Camille slide across the screen.
Yes. He goes to cheer up Fa. She is sad about everyone she knows and loves dying or becoming a vegetable. She's tending over Camille. She has this extended flashback of all of the bad things that happened to Camille and all of the dead women that Camille's run across, like Four and Rosamia, everyone we've met. Jared Mesa, I want to point out, does not rate in this summary at all, aside from the fact that he's the person who killed Four. That's the only time you see him. It's all he deserves. I was watching this, they don't even mention Jared. What is important enough to be mentioned? And they don't, but they do have a shot of him going, die, as he kills Four. I have written down here, the Tears of Time are a bunch of dead people projected onto bad CG spheres, because we sure have subjected to that.
It's so good. I need a gif of that shot.
And then we cut to who's that Pokemon, but it's Mobile Suits.
Yep, so it lays out all this tragedy and then hard cut Who's that
to
Pokemon?
Shinta and Coom being asked about mobile suits by Char, right?
Yeah, it's definitely by Char.
Yeah. Which they ask about a bunch of suits. You had a bit with the Hakushiki I didn't have written down here.
So they ask about the Hyakishiki, and he's like, Char's like, the Hyakishiki, piloted by Quattro Bagina. Do you know who that is? And Shinnura came like, shut the fuck up, Char. It's one of the most endearing Char moments. I wish there was more like human stuff like that in the actual show. Like just Char being a dad.
And then they talk about the Rick Diaz, named after Bartholomew Diaz, the man who discovered Gundamium alloy, which is what the Gundams are made out of.
I don't like this. I'm going back.
I knew that was a thing. I was not prepared for it to be suddenly injected into the show. I thought it was like one of those background things, like the suit numbers, which now are in the show. Like we're in the Gundam where like they know what they have, for better or worse.
I don't like the Gundamium alloy.
Well, it's never going away. So
Gundob Tammy. Nah, just fuck it. Just carry on.
I was looking at the Wikipedia page or the Gundam wiki page, which is always a bad idea because it's an awful wiki about Gundamium alloy, and I will send you snippets of why it is called that. It is the dumbest possible like retconny explanation. It is not because it's the metal they use to make the Gundam. It's far stupider than that.
No, of course it's not. Why would it be something so simple as that?
I write down here, this is the only time the orphans have ever been cool during the sequence, which I thought was true, but the rest of these episodes we're going to talk about kind of bears out that that's not the case. We get a shot of Sayla again, finally, the one and only time we see Sayla as it's her, and then it flashes to Char looking at a picture of them as children, and that's kind of all we get.
Those were new shots, right? Because it cuts into a montage at this point, but I didn't know what was new.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. That picture of Char looking at the picture is from when Char went to Granada City in like early Zeta for the first time, when he goes into his apartment. I
couldn't tell if the like Sailor stuff with also her on that beach. My memory is fuzzy of this because this is where a montage.
Oh, her on the beach is totally not new stuff.
Okay,
that's
so
from
it's all
Zeta.
old stuff, right? Okay,
yes.
Good.
Then we get to pictures of the Shangri-La colony. It is one of the older generations of space colonies. It has started to break down. Its rotational speed is unreliable. It just looks like the late 80s, like rundown urban environment inside. It's very surprising. They give us finally a map of Gundam where the Earth and the Moon and all the sides are. They all operate on Lagrange points, which is like, they're like gravity locked between the Earth and the Moon and the orbits. You know, you can look it up. Lagrange points are a real science thing. And that's kind of where we get to. Then there's it's like, oh, now we're going to talk about Double Zeta, which you told me I could skip, so I skipped it. So
yeah, the last 5 minutes of this episode are Judo going like, I'm a junker, I live on Shangri-La, here's what we're doing. And it basically summarizes the entire next episode, and I was like, just watch the episode, because that
is not Judo's voice. I refuse to... Judo's like, I'm Judo, I'm a junker. I'm on adventures with my friends.
That's the voice I was trying to do in spirit, but you do have to understand that I'm from the UK.
Yeah, well.
Like, I'm conveying the mood, but, you know, I can't actually do shonen voice.
Okay. But that's all I've got. This episode...
Oh, it's great.
So it's great. Also, we should have gotten this a year ago.
It made me so mad that we didn't have this before all of this went down. Because the arc of us with Gundam, and especially with Zeta, me and Farmer in an extreme way, but even like both of us, a lot of extents have been like being confused by the world, by what's going on, having to like piece it together from like bits just dropped into monologues 15 episodes apart, and asking all our friends like, what's going on here, every time we see a confusing thing. And
it's almost as if they knew that their last show had this problem and worked to fix it.
Yep. Like now we are pretty much on the page, but where everything is, what everything means. Zeta it's a crucible. You go through it, come out the other side changed.
Yeah, no. We have seen the tears of time.
I've seen the tears of time, and now we understand. It's a bunch of people on weird balls.
Yep. Yeah, this episode is ridiculous. I was like, oh, this is clearly people were talking about the tonal shift. This must be what they meant. This episode's very silly, and but clearly doesn't matter. Guess what?
Guess what? Episode 2 of Double Zeta is called The Boy from Shangri-La.
So Jackson, you know how I was writing like 2,100 words for the last episodes of Zeta, and then I was like, oh, thankfully we're going to be in New Gundam, and I won't have to do this anymore.
Well,
I was wrong. Ron Howard voice.
Ron Howard voice.
I have a book here, so you know the drill. Just chime in when you want to interrupt. Judo is out in space piloting a Mobile Suit Junior. I'm just going to refer to these as juniors, and I assume you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
In my notes. He sees the Argama coming into dock. They're being allowed in, but Shangri-La is backed up, and they're like, we're not sure if we're going to be able to repair you. We're really slow here. Camille is non-communicative. Fa is in sickbay looking after him. The orphans are here worried about him, but Fa's like, don't worry, we'll get to a hospital. Fa has come into her own as someone who should be the main character of a Gundam, but there's a new boy here to rob that from her. Judo is a space junk collector looking for things to sell, and they have found an escape pod. He's pulled in by his friend who's named Eno. He's like, there's also a Hyzek out there if we can go back out. And Eno's like, no, we're fine. We can sell this escape pod. It'll be enough. Judo goes to examine it. He finds it still working, and he touches the control panel. It opens up, and inside is our good old friend Crazy-Eyed Yazan from the Titans, fresh out of his destroyed Humbrabi, unconscious in the escape pod.
So this is his Humbrabi escape pod, right?
Yes.
But was it
I
always
think it's
red?
the wrong color. No, I'm pretty sure it's the wrong color. I'm pretty sure it was gray.
There's a Hyzek out there. Like, was this... How did he get there this fast? Because the Argama had to travel all the way here. What is the mid-period... What happened to Yazan? I want to know. Yazan's adventure.
I mean, the what was I going to say? The Argama, like, doesn't have, like, half of its front, so it was probably going really slow.
That's fair.
And Yazan had been propelled by an explosion, so he was probably going pretty fast.
I guess you don't slow down in space.
Yeah, also, his thing exploded in episode 49 of Zeta, and then they had to do the rest of Zeta, so he probably, like, was propelled for a while.
I don't think episode 50 took that long with, like, time slowed down to allow all that bullshit to go down.
Yes.
Okay.
The big salvage truck pulls up, and Beecha comes out. He seems like he's the boss. He seems like he's in charge. He's like, we're going to tow the escape pod out. And then he goes to, like, grab the escape pod and, like, attaches it with, like, the, what do I want? Like, the winch. This wakes up Yazan. He immediately attacks Beecha and asks for information. They tell him that he's on Shangri-La, and he seems very happy to not be in the middle of a war anymore. Judo's like, well, you should be thankful we saved your life. And then he laughs and pulls off his helmet to reveal the biggest hair in space.
Yazan's hair, buddy.
You know, we cut to Judo in his his apartment, which is in a shitty rundown part of town. He has a green motorcycle. He is just an anime protagonist who, like, lives in, like, New York, like, slums or whatever.
Yeah, we cut to Akira, but he's got a green bike.
Yeah. It's not nearly as nice as Neo Tokyo.
No.
He's gathering clothes that were his father's, who is absent. His sister, like, yells down to him. He's like, that's dad stuff. And he's like, well, I'm going to sell it to pay rent. He gives it to Yazan, and then he's, like, talking about the Argama being docked there, and Yazan's like, I have a plot for revenge. Kids, come with me. You are now my minions. They get in the truck, and they're headed towards the hangar where the Argama is, and they're like, we're not going to be able to get in. We're just a salvage truck. Yazan is on top of this thing, on top of the escape pod, getting dressed, and has a roll in his mouth that they handed him. Because he's very hungry.
It's so good.
And he is climbing around this thing, roll in his mouth, as he then hijacks a truck next to them, all while eating this breakfast roll and getting dressed. Yazan is a bad man, and I mean that in the Vegeta way, and also just a very bad man way.
What if Vegeta was actually evil? Yazan.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is incredible for many reasons. First off, he's got a fucking piece of toast in his mouth. He's late for school.
Yes. No one more late to school than Yazan.
Second off, his immediate reaction to being post-Zeta and, like, waking up in the situation is to commandeer a group of kids to be his personal gang.
Yes.
Which is incredible.
Yep.
Thirdly, so what he does is he gets in the Junior. It's a Junior, right, that he gets into.
Yeah.
Jumps on another truck, uses, like, the fingers of the Junior to smash the window, and then the shot is... So, trying to think about the physics of this. Junior on top of truck.
Yeah.
Truck moving at speed. Yazan animated as if he is standing outside the truck, pops into frame. I don't know what on earth he is holding on to, but it's incredible.
Yeah, no, he's really good at what he does. The thing I like about this is Gundam is very much a show about, like, all these characters are put in this awful situation where they were just people until the war swept them all up. Yazan, free of the war finally, is just doing, like, the illest Lupin the Third bullshit now.
Yeah.
So some people were just extra before the war and remain extra after it.
Yazan is a unchanging person. He is Yazan regardless of the world.
They pull the truck over, look inside. Inside is a bunch of fruit and vegetables. They're like, oh, this is great. We can eat. Then they pull into the hangar where the Argama crew's unloading. Yazan hands them all guns, which I'm not sure where he got, but he gives all the children guns. Or he hands them to Ino and Judo, and they're like, okay, we need to hijack that truck that's coming out of the hangar, because we can use that truck to get into the hangar now that we've approached the hangar. And in that truck is Fa unloading from the Argama. They hold Fa at gunpoint and use her to get inside. They're like, oh, you have the keys. We're going to swipe those. Judo's like, please don't be too rough with her. She's just a girl, which is very anime protagonist thing to do. Shinta and Kum are hiding underneath the truck as they witness this being stolen, and we're like, oh, well, we know what's going to happen with them. They're going to help thwart these plans, which they do, of course. Judo goes to look in the back of the truck because Yazan's like, please check this out, and he spots Camille, unconscious, unresponsive on a cot. Judo goes to move the blanket over that's covering half of Camille's face, and Camille looks out over at him, reaches out, and the two join hands, and the Judo sees the galaxy spiraling around him, almost like the beginning of Zeta Gundam. Almost as if this is a literal passing of the Newtype baton. Yes, they go to get into the hangar, and Bicha gives the guard an orange, and the guard's like, oh, I've been on the Argama so long, we didn't even have oranges. This is great. They didn't even need the passes. They could have just scanned their way through. Yeah. Fa asks Judo why he didn't tell Yazan about Camille while they're sitting in the back, and Camille's like, only a coward would take an injured man hostage. Though he's fine with just taking this girl that he dismissed for being a girl hostage. Fa then proves that, like, being in Gundam makes you an adult no matter what your age by lecturing him about skipping school and being, like, a delinquent. Judo's like, oh, my parents left this colony to go work to keep me fed. That's the same with all of my friends. I'm trying to keep my sister alive. I'm just trying to get by. I have to work. I can't just, like, go to school like you fancy soldiers. And the war is everywhere, I guess. Well, he's on a rundown shitty colony also. Like, yes. I think of... like, my assumption of this, just going by this episode, is that Shangri-La is like a forgotten place that the Federation built and then moved anyone they cared about to a different place. Just people that have been marked as not mattering, right? Yeah, it's one of the colonies of Side 1. I assume they built them in order. It's probably very shitty there and old. I mean, they say it's old. They say it's like breaking down, yes. But I like that, like, the trauma that they are suffering from isn't just like, it's the war, it's come to us, but it's the Federation are an awful people who have forgotten who they, like, sent out here. Yeah. Because they are getting towards, like, the center of the colony and not along the edge, the gravity now gives out as they go towards the dock, and suddenly everyone's floating and all the origins are floating, and it's very good. Yeah. Bright is being told that the colony can work on the Argama, but they don't have any capacity to repair the mobile suits. The orphans run out and, like, climb on Bright like they're monkeys. It's very ridiculous. They try to warn him and Astonage about everything going on. But before they can even get anything off, as, like, Bright's dismissing them for the first time, Bicha grabs the truck's PA and announces that he has a hostage and who it is, and says that they'll kill her if they don't give them a mobile suit. He tries to tell them who it is. They have to ask about her name, and there's a bit of miscommunication. We'll talk about this when I finish the summary here. Yazan then bursts out in the Junior and heads for the ship. The orphans are Bright's like, why didn't you tell me? The orphans like, we did. We tried to. But Fa's there. Please save Fa. The orphans then grab a gun and are like, we're going to save Fa ourselves. Yazan is ordering the Shangri-La kids to help him or they won't get paid. Bright is protecting the Zeta Gundam with a handgun, and then from above where the truck was, he is pelted with oranges thrown by the Shangri-La kids, who don't have weapons. This image of Bright and the whole Argama crew is being pelted with oranges. Yes. Oh, it's too much. Judo goes to shoot Bright, but then he gets a flash of Camille and the galaxy, and he hesitates. The orphans, Sinch and Kum, are holding onto this assault rifle and take aim at Yazan and fire at him and hit the cockpit of the Junior mobile suit, which does not pierce the cockpit, unfortunately. The recoil, flies them backward in zero gravity, but these kids were ready to murder Yazan. They are more accomplished than most of the characters in this show. Yeah, the reimagining of, like, okay, we've got no one left, we need to actually solidify a dynamic for the Argama crew, like, real fast, is very good. Judo is like, this situation's totally fucked. How can I save this? I know. I can steal the Zeta Gundam. So he jumps down and kicks Bright right in the face and gets in the robot. He's driven by flashes of Camille as he's like trying to figure out how to turn the thing on. Bright is climbing up to the cockpit being like, get out of there, child, as he's just pushing Bright away over and over again. He powers up the Zeta. He's like, I could sell this thing for a fortune. It's a Gundam. He looks at the controls. He's like, I know how to pilot this thing, but he can't even get the hatch closed. He's not good at piloting, actually, but he's like, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to get my sister Lena into a good school. I'm going to be the best big brother ever by stealing the Gundam.
Yeah.
The kids are getting mad about Yazan barking orders at them as he rushes forward and he attacks Segasa, who is one of the Argama bridge crew, and manages to cut him down with the junior's like little beam saber thing. Judo is stunned that someone's killed in this situation. He's like, I can't believe these adults. They take everything way too seriously. This was just going to be stealing the Gundam, not murderer. And he turns on the Gundam and turns on the maneuvering jets, but the Gundam is still like prone on the ground, so it's just sliding around this hangar. As he does this, he like calls out to Bright, please move. I don't want to crush you with the Gundam that I'm stealing.
It's incredible.
Yazan rushes for the Zeta. He wants it for himself. As he comes closer, Judo fires rockets at him, which don't accomplish anything. Then Yazan tries to pry him out of the cockpit by force. The Zeta then like rockets up and its head smashes through the wall. And you see like people in the next hangar like surprised that the giant head of the Zeta comes crashing into their hangar.
It's a farce. It's amazing.
Then he like half transforms it into the Wave Rider form, and him and Yazan crash through a hangar wall into the colony proper with the AUG in hot pursuit and jeeps and stuff.
So there's like the scene of the head going through the floor, and then all the people upstairs like, what the hell is the Gundam head doing here? This isn't normal. And then it cuts to Jide being like, wait, maybe I can become a plane. And that's his solution to become smaller, is to become a plane and fly away.
Yep. Let's see. Judo is chasing after Yazan now, mad at him for all of the trouble he's caused. The cockpit's still open. He's just in Shangri-La flying the Zeta now. They fly over like a resort and buzz this lady in a swimsuit getting drinks poolside, which is ridiculous. Bright is chasing them in a Jeep. Yazan is so shocked this kid can pilot a Gundam well enough to keep up with them. He's like, oh, I can't believe that this is just like the last Gundam pilot who didn't know how to pilot a Gundam. They land in a big junkyard, like the most massive fuck-off junkyard in the world. Judo almost falls out of the Zeta as he like lands because the cockpit's open and he doesn't know what he's doing. Yazan ditches one junior mobile suit for another, one of these like construction ones in the junkyard. Judo goes to grab his beam saber but doesn't know what he's doing, so he fumbles it and drops it. Yazan picks it up and goes to attack Judo, but then he's like in the mobile suit junior, so Judo just uses the Zeta to like hold his head back so he can't reach him with the sword, so he's just like swinging wildly at the cockpit.
Yeah.
So the AUG, as this is happening, are surrounding them. Judo looks for anything he can use, and he shoots missiles from one of the arm cannons of the Gundam into the Mobile Suit Junior, blowing it up, throwing Yazan out as he like hits the dirt and curses his fate. Looks like he's like getting picked up by the cops or whatever. We don't really see what happens to Yazan, but he survives this. So the one person who survived Zeta Gundam unaccosted is Yazan.
Yazan and Fa.
In this battle, Judo had closed the hatch, but now he can't open it. And he's like, I don't know how to get out of the Gundam. Bright grabs one of the junior mobile suits, and Empire Strikes Back lassos the Zeta's legs to force it to trip, and then pries open the thing and pulls Judo out. Judo is in big trouble, but then his friends set off a bunch of explosions around the junkyard that his friends have planted, giving him the distraction he needs to escape. Bright is once again bested by a bunch of children. This just keeps happening.
We'll see if he can find any deeper meaning in this later.
Out in space, we see a man in an old One-Year War Xeon uniform in an old One-Year War Xeon ship standing on a bridge as a briefcase is launched from his ship towards the colony. But this is a story for another time, because we've reached the end.
Yeah, that's how Double Zeta opens. That is you see the Tears of Time, and then you have this nonsense.
So this episode is an amazing tonal whiplash of now we're in a shonen anime like comedy thing. but it's still Gundam, and all of our Gundam characters have to deal with it. I think that's the thing that makes it work, is that it's Bright in the middle of like having lost all of his friends, dealing with this child trying to steal the Gundam.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic. I love it so much.
It's so petty, and it's such like a nice catharsis after the very heavy shit that is at the end of Zeta. I could see why people might be like, oh, this is not what I was looking for out of Gundam. I think this is what Gundam needs to get back onto like a footing where you can like breathe and just enjoy the anime a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or not an anime, sorry.
Oh, yes,
this documentary about the war.
I can't believe they were like, Gundam, it's not an anime, it's real. It's not one of those shitty animes. And then they made this for the like show that they attached that.
To be fair, the rest of that song is about how adults are too serious and I watch TV, so I know what I'm talking about.
It's a song.
It's a song. It's a pretty good song.
It's a pretty good song, yeah.
Yazan just being shitty in like this petty way at the very end of all of these things where his relevance is over is so good. This is basically what we wanted with Jared being in charge of 3 Titans, but all compressed into a single episode.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's tragically Yazan instead of Jared. Oh god, can you imagine if this was Jared?
Well, as I floated in the Discord, Jared would immediately try to punch like one of these kids, and then these kids would have just kicked the shit out of him, like stomped a mud hole right through him, and he would have been dead on the floor of this salvage yard.
Have he just been killed by children?
Yes.
Survives Zeta Gundam only to be immediately murdered by 5 children.
Yes.
Oh, that's my Jared fanfic.
Yep. A fitting end to a fitting shitty boy.
He's a hero. He hasn't killed far as many people as Camille.
That's true. He did not kill nearly as many people as Camille, mostly because he was busy failing.
Yes, not for lack of trying.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got. We should probably talk about the next one because there's more. There's so much. There's so many more levels to this whole mess.
We have not even begun. Episode 3 of Double Zeta is called The Night of Endra. What happens?
The night of the Endra.
The night of the Endra. The night of the Endra.
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess the Endra's the ship.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
A suitcase. The suitcase we saw last episode is full of gold, and the people running the colony are examining it and a letter that came with it. It is from the Axis. It is from the Axis cruiser as a bribe to dock here, and they're like, "Oh, we already have an AUG ship in port, but this is a lot of gold." One of the guys is like, "Oh, this is gonna just start a fight," and then the guy clearly in charge looks at the gold and is like, "This taking deals like this is what gets me paid. You're an idiot. We're gonna take this, and they can shoot it out. We don't have to worry about it." Bright is. We cut to Bright.
I need to clarify that that's not actually what's happening. That is half of what's happening. The other half of what's happening is they are bouncing between the floor and the ceiling constantly.
yes. But the guy is saying, "This is why I get the big bucks," as he's floating up against the ceiling and pushing off of it. Because
they can't be like control the gravity in the room properly because in the center of the colony, and they're just bouncing around the room the whole time. It's it's so much.
Bright is being told about this on the bridge of the Argama by a guy who just is like here and AUG sympathized. He is very not happy about this. He's like, Axis is going to find us. We need to do something. This man offers to help them get into the colony proper, where Axis won't follow, by towing in the Argama like it's just a bunch of junk. This guy's name, I wrote down Mr. Chimater. I don't know if he matters or not, but that's a name. That's a pretty good name.
It's a pretty good name.
On the Axis ship, we meet a blue-haired guy. I will save his name for when we get it, but he is in a green uniform. He styles himself as a knight. He has a rose and all that. It is a lot. We'll get to the rest of him in a second.
He's so good.
Judo's friends are all hanging out in the junkyard and are plotting to find the Zeta Gundam again so they can steal it and sell it. Lena shows up with her friend Elle. Whoever Elle is, I need an anime about her immediately because she is the coolest little kid in space.
Yes.
She's just in like a leotard and like a cool jacket. Everything like is complementary colors of pink. She is just very neat. She's like the little sister of Gem and the Holograms. I love her a lot. Lena then immediately lectures Bicha for turning her brother into a criminal. Ino's like, no, you don't understand. If we get the Zeta, we could take bigger jobs and we could use it. It'll help us. And Lena's like, no, that sounds like some bullshit. You're just going to sell it. They have this big argument about trying not to be troubled youth falling into a life that would make an after-school special. I wouldn't worry about it. You're all Gundam protagonists now. They all stop their argument as the Argama is towed overhead and left in the fields right next to them where they're hiding out. Judo's like, well, that's convenient, and hops in the Junior to go chase down the Argama. He grapples onto it as it's like floating overhead, and then the kids are running after him. Judo just ready to jump right back in the fray.
Yep.
The Night Guy is being shown his new mobile suit called the Gallus J, and is talking about the elegance of mobile suits and how much he appreciates Axe's design sensibilities, as it flashes to him bowing at Haman Karn's feet, who praises him for being an exceptional soldier among all of the untrained troops of Axis. She calls him a true knight. He is going to capture the Argama and give it to Haman to prove his loyalty to her. We catch his name now. It is Mashimer Cello. He is amazing. Master Mashimer.
Let me tell you about his romantic dream.
Yeah, gone. I didn't realize that just the Sorceress Knights from Final Fantasy VIII came from this, but boy, they sure did. Holy shit.
He's just there with his rose.
Yes. So we get this whole like flashback, and then we come back and he's looking at the rose, and the guy next to him is like, oh, you've been looking at that rose a while. It's lasted a really long time. And he's like, oh, don't worry. I've laminated it.
This rose will never die. I have laminated the rose.
He jumps into the cockpit door, or the cockpit of the Gallus J, and he's like, I'm ready to go. And the guy's like, sir, the cockpit door is not ready yet. We can't close it. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. And launches the mobile suit. And as his hair is blowing and he like launches out into the colony, he says that the wind will soothe his burning blood. This guy, this fucking guy right here.
Yes, this fucking guy. God, he's my favorite.
We cut to Judo also being extremely extra by using like the suction things of any like heist movie to climb on top of the Argama and get on board. He is sneaking into the hangar on foot. Bright immediately spots him.
Yes.
So Bright immediately spots him on the cameras, and everyone's like, "Oh, we should go stop that kid." And then Bright's like, "No, I think we should let him be. I'm curious what he's going to do." And then we get the most amazing flashback ever as Bright flashes back to the other times children have stolen a Gundam to great effect. Like the time Amuro stole the Gundam way back in Mobile Suit Gundam 1, or that time Camille stole the Gundam Mark II from Emma back in Zeta Gundam Episode 1, or that time Judo stole the Zeta Gundam last episode.
And he just like the music is playing and he's just like, there might be something to this.
Yeah, Bright, the brain genius, is like, maybe there's a pattern. Maybe I should let this go.
He has recognized that maybe this could be the boy that they need.
Shinta and Kum are in the galley of the Argama cooking basically toast for the entire ship, being lectured by Haro for not cooking fast enough, even though they are both like 8. Judo is sneaking past them. He gets spotted by Haro as he floats past, who alerts the orphans. They keep it quiet and hide Judo from an AUG soldier who comes in for a snack. They like throw a toast at him and like, get out of here. We're making food. Judo's like, oh, thank you for not giving me up. And then Shinta says, I'm a good judge of character. I think you're a good guy. 2 things. One,
Rosemi.
Shinta, like 10 episodes ago, was all about Rosemi, who was a Titan brainwashed cyber new type sent to infiltrate, and they were like, oh, our big sister, she's great. She tried to murder Camille literally 3 episodes later. Oh, go ahead.
I just to say, it wasn't a subtle disguise. Like, everyone took one look at her and was like, I don't know.
Also, Judo follows up this vouching of trust by saying, thanks, kids, I'm here to steal your Gundam.
And they are psyched.
They're like, well, you did fight off Yazan, and he was a Titan. He was a bad man. So I think this is a great plan. And then they all high-five each other. They are interrupted in the high-fiving by Ashtonage walking in, trying to get some lunch for himself. And he's like, oh my god, it's him! And sounds an alarm.
Oh, it's just the most farcical nonsense. This is incredible. We've barely even begun. This episode hasn't even kicked off yet.
Mashimer is attacking in his ship now. They have no way to defend themselves, really, because this ship has taken a fucking beating. Mashimer lands his mobile suit onto the Argama and orders their surrender. He's like, please give this up or I will destroy your ship. He gets out his beam saber and he's like threatening to cut the bridge in half. They are prepping the Methus, but he's already like doing this, so they're like, we're not going to get there in time. Judo's ready though, and he climbs up out of the ship onto the leg of the Gallus J and plants explosives, or he plants a comedy bomb with an enormous, like, 100-yard fuse, which he lights.
It's not even got a timer or a remote. It's literally got a fuse that goes outside a big, spaceship. And
yes, in the middle of, like, a giant open space. He lights a fuse, it goes all the way up, blows the Gallus J in the leg. It's enough to knock the Gallus J off the Argama and down to the ground, where it face plants, smashing Mashimer directly into the dirt.
Because, as we all know, the wind will soothe his burning blood.
Yes. Fa launches the Methus, and they're like, please don't use the big guns. We're in the middle of a colony. You'll kill many people. Remember that time you crashed into the dome of a colony and killed many people? And Fa's like, yeah, no, I've been through Gundam. I know what I'm doing. But then the orphans explain that the Methus is really damaged and not working well, which we see because it can barely fly. It's just a mess.
Yep.
They lead Judo into the Zeta. He can barely pilot the thing and nearly crushes Astonage, who has managed to survive this long. Please do not kill the Gundam mechanic.
Sega didn't do very well last time.
Yes, Astonage is like, what do you think you're doing? And Judo's like, I'll figure it out, don't worry. And stumbles out of the hangar as Astonage and Bright start giving him instructions over the phone. As he launches, he's like, I'll figure it out on the way. And they're like, well, we're going to do our best to help you. Fa is struggling because one of her engines is cutting out, but Judo rushes in and kicks the Gallus J with the Zeta. Massimer swears by his rose that he will get the Argama, just being the most Saturday morning villain.
Yes, his laminated rose.
Yes, the Methus and the Zeta land, and the two pilots have a discussion, but then Lena interrupts and orders Judo out. She's like, big brother, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be making money, not piloting mobile suits. He's like, I'm gonna go fight instead, and flies up into the air and confronts Massimer, who he's like, I am the Knight Massimer. I am commander of the Endra. And Judo's like, I'm Judo. I'm cutting class.
Yep, that does happen.
And Massimer's like, I'll let you take the first shot. And so Judo goes to grab his beam saber and fumbles it again. And so he's just standing there, and Massimer's like, oh, he wants a melee fight. I can do this. How very honorable. And so he rushes him, and then Judo in the Zeta, like, turns it into the Wave Rider form accidentally and takes off. And then Massimer's like, oh, this coward, he's running away after he challenged me to a duel. He is not worthy of my power, and chases after him.
This guy turning into fucking Death Note as he is, like, reading into all the, like, the combat implications of the honor of his moves as Judo's just, like, comedy, blah, what all these buttons do inside. Oh, it's so incredible. He throws the sword away because he's an idiot, and then the guy's like, we will battle without weapons. This is truly the honorable way.
Judo then crashes the Zeta directly into a mountain of garbage and in the Wave Rider form as he, like, transforms it back into the mobile suit form. And then there's a weird comedy bit where he almost, like, racks the Gundam's balls, if it had balls, on a big spire of garbage. Anime. Not an anime, I guess, but anime-style jokes in a very dramatic war documentary.
I wondered, like, is this, wait, they're really doing that joke? Or is that just a coincidence?
No, they're definitely doing that
Definitely.
Not all of these are good jokes, unfortunately.
They're definitely hitting the Gundam in its balls.
Yes. He then, like, climbs down and confronts Mashimer, and Mashimer's like, oh, this is such a strange combat style. This must be one of those Newtypes. Which, you're right, obviously, but Mashimer, you could not be more wrong.
No, he's just an idiot. But I like the fact that anyone sees an idiot in a mobile suit, they're like, this is just like Amuro Ray.
Yep. Mashimer then goes to attack him, and there's this really cool scene where, like, he goes to swing a sword, and Judo turns in the Wave Rider form, like, in mid-swipe and dodges it, which is really cool. I'm not into the transferring mobile suits, but if there's more stuff like this, that's very neat.
Yep.
Let's see, where was I? Fa is carrying the rest of the kids in the hand of the Methus. I'm like, oh, she's trying to get them away from all of the combat. But no, she is giving them a front row seat to the combat as she flies up to where the battle is.
Yeah.
Massimer draws his beam saber. He orders Judo to do the same. He rushes forward. Judo is struggling to figure out how to work the sword and only manages to push Massimer away as he, like, Massimer almost stabs the Zeta and kills him, but he turns on the beam saber just in time to impale the head of the Gallus Z as it crashes down, which drives off Mashimer. Everyone's surprised. Judo is more surprised than anybody, but then immediately gets over it and is like, yeah, of course I won. I'm Judo. I know what I'm doing. Fa looks on, worried about this new special boy. His friends, or no, it cuts to like voiceover of Bright asking him, why didn't you just steal the mobile suit? And he's like, I might steal it tomorrow, but today I was just busy fighting off Axis for you. No need to thank me. I'm going to go home. So he hops in the Junior and he returns home. The Argama is building a shield of rubble around it inside the junkyard to hide the ship. Lena in the junkyard scolds him for everything, especially trying to still steal the Gundam, which is clearly the good guy's ship. And Judo's like, well, look, why don't you just get in the suit with me and we'll go home? And she's like, just because you're letting me into your Junior mobile suit doesn't mean I'm happy with what you did. And they laugh and fly home as we reach the end.
The end. This is it. This is what the show is. It's...
Jackson, we are going to see the battlefield of Newtypes.
Yes, they've got a new catchphrase, and it's ridiculous because this...
You'll see the battlefield of Newtypes, this child and this idiot knight fighting each other in a junkyard over nothing.
Yeah, it might be my favorite Gundam battle. Look. Just this guy being like, oh, he's the honorable one, he doesn't know how to fight. What button do I press, Bright? Bright having a minute-long flashback.
To all of the other times the child has stolen the Gundam, yeah.
Including the time last week.
Yes. The time last week, like 6 hours ago. Like, it's literally the same day.
Yeah, because the day, like, they go home to go to sleep because it's been a long day.
Yep. This is a lot.
It's a lot. The show starts strong.
So as we said, everyone's like, oh, it's a very big change in tone. The actual like plot of this, where the you know what I'm about to say now. The Argama is docking and they need repairs, and then an Axis ship comes in and they're going to get repairs. And the colony they're on decides, oh, we're going to let both ships dock. They're not going to start anything, but clearly they're going to start something, and the Argama is trying to avoid it. This is just the most stock 0079 Gundam plot in the world, and I really am glad to see this style plotting back in this like more complex Gundam world again.
Yep, because like. Yeah, like one of my biggest complaints about Zeta was that I just didn't like the episode to episode like plotting as much as I did in 079. Just here's a new girl, she's sad or dead, and them just being like, okay, we can't do that again. Let's figure out what like classic Gundam tropes look like in a world that isn't like we've gone beyond the like very basic themes at the start where it was like war is hell, we're all trapped in this together and fighting each other. Like that's not what Gundam's about anymore. So contextualizing those plots in a new way is like I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yes, but also like by making the protagonist of this Gundam just the most stock shonen boy, but in the Gundam universe, like he can't just be a goof off because the world of Gundam is too dire. So he's actually trying to take care of his sister and hustle, even though he's like 14 or whatever. Like Fa treats him like a little kid. So there's probably at least a couple years between the two of them. Mm-hmm. It feels real, like a lot of when we first met Camille and he got on the Argama, we're like, oh, it's weird that he's not gelling with these soldiers and there's all this friction and they're not telling him anything. And seeing this from the other side now, why would you tell the kid who just shows up on your ship anything?
Yeah,
like it makes you like sit on the other side of the early parts of Zeta now, just watching this kid bumble through shit. And I don't like, it makes me feel better about the frictions I had with early Zeta just by looking at this also. Like this is played much more broad, obviously, but it still is like a nice reflection of the show we just finished also.
Oh, for sure.
It seems really smart to take it in this direction, not just to like give the audience the catharsis, but to flesh out the perspectives of the world. Like Gundam is very much a show about like addressing the ideas and themes from all sides, right? Mm-hmm. And this is just another way to like thematically show you the Gundam journey through comedy, but it still doesn't not feel like Gundam to me at all, ever.
Yeah, that's why like one of the things I like most about it, I said, is that I like that Judo's upbringing, right, is like on this shitty colony that everyone's forgot about. It's not like, which was for both Gundam and Double Zeta, like, a military outpost has been set up here and it has brought war to my door.
The Side 7 experimental Gundam base.
Yeah, because like, you know, we had Arrow on the military base and like, oh, everyone's here, we have to run away now. Camille being on like a shitty Titan school and he's like, this sucks. I would rather steal a Gundam and go to war than go to karate class at this school.
Yes,
which
both
is
their
fair.
dads being Gundam designers, literally in the same place 8 years apart.
You don't know. Judo could be off designing Gundam.
Judo's dad?
Judo's
No,
dad.
I will see. I doubt it, though.
Were you about to say you've read what Judo's dad does?
No, I have no
Oh,
idea.
you no idea. Okay.
No. I would bet that we never see his family, would be my guess.
You absolutely see his family, and they are doing something untoward.
Nah.
I've watched a Gundam show before.
Nah, they fall down some stairs like Temray and are dead.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I mean, it's not as like, I don't expect we're ever going to get like evil dads, right? Like, we're not going to get,
I mean, Franklin Badon was an evil dad.
You know what I mean? Like
Temray was an evil dad. He was like, we didn't see it, but he was there.
I mean, we had the conversation the other week, like, where is the Gendo Ikari of Gundam? And it's never, because they don't, like, the dads aren't like ever afforded the power and competence required to like assert their shittiness in such a universal way. They're just shitty dads.
I mean, eventually we'll be out of UC, and I don't think that's going to be true forever. But,
Sure,
yeah.
I'm sure we'll get there eventually, and we'll have some real shitty dads.
Yep.
The infinite chain of anime dads.
Eventually, some guy is going to build the Gundam and then put his kid in it. That's going to happen. I guess it already did with Temray, but he was basically dead before it mattered.
That's true.
Yep. Like, Temray totally would have been Gendo Ikari if he had not been blown out an airlock.
Yeah. What an idiot.
Yes. Yeah, no, I am surprised how much I found myself enjoying this stuff. I can't believe that the joke of that guy at the end of 0079 who was like, it's in space, it doesn't even need legs, is now just a running joke in all these episodes of, we're in a colony, the cockpit being open is fine. It's just a goof now.
I love Mashima so much.
Mashimer is amazing. He is just every dopey early arc Sailor Moon villain in the world of Gundam. Useless. Like, you know that when he met Haman Karn, he like passed her in a hallway and she was like, good work, soldier, and he has turned it into this vision of her like bestowing him the title of the Knight of the Endra, and now he's gonna go and prove something to her and she doesn't even know who he is.
Wait, so in your not actually, but like in your mental version of this, you have decided that that flashback never happened. And
It probably happened in some form, but Haman Karn talks to a lot of people and is a busy lady, and she does not give a shit about anyone.
I mean, I comes through, she doesn't give a shit, but like him just like seeing her once in the hallway and building it out to that scene.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, he's beautiful. His vision of what this war and what this world is so out of line with everything. He's basically Sirocco, but like not able to achieve anything. Like, if Sirocco was totally defanged and couldn't hypnotize women and make them fascists in his thrall, he would just be Mashimer, just an idiot with a rose talking about his beautiful dream of elegant Gundams.
I don't know if he's like that similar to Sirocco. Like, he doesn't have the vision of the world. Like, I mean, this is what a stupid question. Is Mashima anything like Sirocco?
Yes, the answer is yes. He
doesn't-
is just the parody of Sirocco. Like, Sirocco's whole thing was like this refined, like Sirocco is like almost like a Makuve, right? Like, this is the line we're working in. Like, Makuve was like dinging his crystal decanters and talking about how beautiful things were as he ran a war effort. Sirocco's like, everyone needs to be rational and calm, while he was just like the most are you mad bro at everyone in the entire universe. And now we have Massimer, who is all about this romantic ideal of this time. Haman Karn like gave him like an Axis pen and said, good job.
And he's like, this is why I shall conquer the Argama.
Yes.
I shall bring it for her as a gift. And then she
Yes.
shall see. It's
Yep.
just that Fury Road scene.
Remember
He looked
that
at me.
Sirocco pledged his loyalty in blood.
Wasn't that? Yes. I forget how that went. Wasn't he like, no one else is
He
giving
pledges
blood?
loyalty to Jamatov Hyman in blood because he was like, I could sign this like everyone else, but I'm going to sign it in blood to prove that I am the best. And then he still killed Jamatov Hyman the minute it seemed like a good idea.
No one believed him for a second, but they did still let him work with them.
Yes.
The Titans are the stupidest. I mean, I guess the Federation are the stupidest people on Earth to let the Titans like beat them. But fuck, the Titans are dumb.
Yeah.
In addition to being fascist.
But Massimer now being like on this shitty old Xeon ship in his shitty old Xeon uniform, talking about the beautiful glory of Xeon that doesn't even exist anymore is amazing. I love him. He's just one of these guys, though.
I need to know where he came from.
I'm sure we'll find out. I can't wait to find out.
Now, is he like, was he just, he's not, it's only been like 7 years, so he's probably like a judo age during the 1 year war.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that like Axis is kind of like a amalgam of everything they could scrounge out of the like fall of Xeon, right? Like there's a lot of people still cruising around in these old ass ships, probably.
Presumably, yeah.
Not everyone can be a Cubily, right?
No. That is very true.
Yeah. But I like our new villain a lot. I'm sure he won't last very long. My prediction is that the minute real villains show up, he gets killed, not by Judo, but the real villains.
That is like probably true, but I want him to be the new Jared. I need him to stick around.
I want him to I want Haman Karn to roll in with like her full army, and he's like, I'm here to join you, and she blows him out of the sky.
I bet that will happen, and also it will happen in episode like 34 is the thing. Like you're right that this is exactly what's going to happen, but because this is this show, it'll be a comedy show for about 25 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a comedy show for a while, and I know that doesn't remain true. I don't know when that changes. There's only 47 episodes, so I can't imagine it's just the last 10, but then every Gundam, it's like, I can't imagine all the stuff will be in the last 10, and guess what? It sure is.
Oh, it really was last time.
Zeta has a lot going on the entire time. It's not like Mobile Suit Gundam, where literally the ideas of Gundam don't show up until the last 6 episodes.
Yeah, it can really throw you off if you're doing a weekly podcast.
Yeah.
Weird.
So look, if you're listening to this and you don't subscribe and you're like, they don't know what they're talking about, you have no idea what Gundam's like. We know. That's why we're doing the podcast.
Yes.
Please don't comment unless you have good things to say, in which case like, comment, and subscribe.
Last time, so the Zeta one, people got very mad about the free episode. Well, one person was leaving salty comments on our episode about how much of an idiot we were. Specifically, I didn't know who Quattro Regina was.
Yeah.
And they were like, you're both idiots, even though that was
Imagine being so morally bankrupt and so devoid of joy that you don't look at you saying, oh, this is Quattro Regina, that's not Char Aznable, and not think that's a beautiful thing to have happened in the world.
You and everyone on the Discord conspired for 3 weeks to keep that up.
It was amazing. I would have let it go until that letter where he's like, this is a Char.
And I'm like, what the shit? Kai?
Yeah. I think that's it for Double Zeta.
For the first episode.
So we have a bit of announcement next week, starting next week.
So the problem is we didn't know what to do about this podcast because
this is ostensibly an anime podcast, and yet this show, as everyone knows who's watching Double Zeta, it's not an anime.
Not anime. So we didn't really know what we were going to do. We didn't need to have completely empty podcast without any anime for 6 months. So
we talk about the shows that we watch on our free time, but that's not what you come for. You come for the content where we talk about a show all the way through. And so we're like, we need a way to fix this. And thankfully, the fates have conspired to give us a new vision of anime. Jackson, do you want to talk about what we're going to do for the next 18 weeks?
18 weeks, I guess that's how long it is. So what we'll have to do for the last weeks of Double Zeta, I don't know. But as it so happens, as we were checking Twitter as we do, there was a tweet going around from High Dive about a new show that they are airing. A new show they are airing 3 episodes a week of Armored Trooper Votoms, and we have decided that we will watch at that pace. We'll watch 3 episodes a week, and we will check in every week with our Armored Trooper Votoms watch.
So this is not going to be full summaries like I do for Double Zeta. Absolutely not. We will try to keep it 15-20 minutes. We'll talk about them in very shorter terms, but we are going to go through them. We're going to talk about each episode. We'll do brief summaries. If you don't know, Armored Trooper Votoms aired in 1983 through 1984. It is 52 episodes long. It is created by Ryosuke Takahashi, and what was it? Mechanical designs are by Kunio Okawara, who is important because he designed the mecha of Mobile Suit Gundam. Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah.
So he did Mobile Suit Gundam, and I assume, looking at Votoms, he was like, what if we took out all of the magical weird shit about Gundam and just took one Zaku and made it really shitty? And it looks awesome.
So obviously we had to dive all the way into this.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people who listen to this podcast but do not actually watch the shows and follow along with our summaries. That will not be possible. You can enjoy the discussions, I guess, but if you want to follow along with us, watch the 3 episodes a week like a book club, is probably the best way to do it. I assume absolutely none. Well, that's not true. I assume maybe 2 of you have seen this show.
Yeah, I was about to say, I bet at least one person has seen this show.
Yes.
I'll give you even odds on who that one is, but We have two friends who I would guarantee have heard of the show. One who could probably give me 17 images of the show. And the other one I'm worried is going to be mad that this show has the bad politics, but we'll talk to them when they hear this episode.
I like we're talking around it, but everyone knows whose friends they are. Everyone knows who we're talking about. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Thanks for listening,
Hi.
friends.
Yeah, you're our favorite people.
Yeah, no, we love it. But that's the plan. 3 episodes a week.
Yes.
That is, and they are coming up. That's like the release schedule on High Dive. So
Yeah, the first episodes come out on June 28th, which is last Saturday as you're hearing this. So we are going to start next week and be covering those.
Yes. So it'll be good. And what was I going to say? Like, there were other shows we could watch, but this afforded everyone a nice in, right? Like, a lot of these old shows aren't accessible unless you go find very old torrents.
Yeah, like ever since I was looking at Gunpla and I saw the Votoms, I was like, this thing's fucking cool. I'll never watch this series because I'm not going to track down this old ass anime. Well, now the old ass anime has come to me. And like part of it is like we have enjoyed Zeta, but every time we look at 0079, we're like, oh, I love the old crunchy designs of that style of suit. We just get to watch the show that's that style of suit, but like animated like Zeta.
I mean, it's in the mid period. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, like just looking at the opening, it looks closer. It looks like a weird amalgam of Zeta and 0079 in a way that's very interesting.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yep. So that's what we're doing. I hope you enjoy. We'll be back next time. If you don't subscribe, of course, $1 a month, patreon.com/neuromapping will get you this podcast from now until 2027 or whenever we finish Hathaway's Flash or whatever's after that. By the time we're there. Jackson, if people want to know about our other stuff we do, why don't you tell them where they can find us?
You can find us at abnormalmapping.com. We have a bunch of podcasts there, including Abnormal Mapping, which is a game club, the Best Game.club, they'll have their own domains, and Second Off the Slug, a Star Trek podcast. If you want sci-fi of the other flavor, we talk about Star Trek at StarTrekPodcast.space. It's a very, very good time.
That's specifically about Star Trek books, though we do cover episodes.
We cover episodes. It's books and episodes, so
yeah,
we do a lot. We like Star Trek.
Yes,
and you will not be surprised to know.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess we've already plugged the Patreon. God, the plug zone's back and forth. Everything's.
Where can people find you on social media?
They can't. No one's allowed to follow me on Twitter anymore. I'm full.
I'm at Headphones Off. Yes, at Headphones Off. You can find me at EM_being. I'm not full, so feel free to talk to me about anime. I watch a lot of anime these days, so you can go to our Anime Planet accounts and follow us and look at all the anime we've seen.
Yes, you can.
If you're watching this for free, I hope you've enjoyed this sample. We'll have another one when we watch. What's the next real show we're watching? It's a long ways from now.
I mean, we'll have to decide because we've got like a bunch of OVAs. So maybe we'll make one of the. Maybe we'll do like a War in the Pocket episode or something free.
Yeah, but it won't be till next year. So
no, it won't be till early 2019 because I'm looking at the list now, and we finish Double Zeta on the first week of 2019, and then we head into OVA hell.
Yeah. So thank you for at least testing this Gundam adventure and going on it with us if you decide to do that. Yes. And to everyone else, we'll see you next week for our dose of anime and this other thing we're watching, I guess, which is clearly not anime.
Not anime. Goodbye.
ちは